There are moments when everything changes. A sudden shift occurs and the world becomes something else entirely. A great stillness descended upon our bustling world. Humanity retreated, and a profound quiet began to settle over the landscapes we had built. In the heart of the world's most vibrant cities, a strange new reality took hold. For the first time in generations, the subtle sounds of the natural world could be heard. We were presented with a unique opportunity to witness what happens when our presence is removed. It forced us to confront the scale of our impact and to listen to the world around us. In this great pause, we were given a glimpse into a parallel world. The silence was full of possibility and the first signs of an extraordinary story about to unfold. In the newfound silence, nature stirred. Across the globe, wildlife ventured out, the wild things explored, cautiously sensing the change. The absence of our noise created a vacuum. Nature began to flow into the empty space. Reports surfaced from every continent, wildlife reclaiming our spaces. Animals discovered a world free from threats. The world watched, captivated, witnessing these magical moments. Each sighting reminded us of the vibrant, wild world alongside our own. Humanity stepped back and nature stepped forward. As the human world fell quiet, the animal kingdom began to stir. The first to emerge were the cautious explorers, drawn out by the profound silence. In Japan, Sika deer wandered further than ever before. In Wales, mountain goats descended from their rocky crags. Similarly, in Italy, wild boars trotted through villages. These sightings were the first signs of a temporary redrawing of the map, blurring the lines between the wild and the civilized. These cautious explorers were the pioneers of a new, quiet Earth, showcasing nature's resilience. The world's cities became the stage for an unexpected urban safari. In Santiago, Chile, a puma wandered through the deserted city center, a symbol of nature reasserting itself. In Venice, canals grew clearer, and swans returned. Further north, coyotes grew bolder, even trotting across the Golden Gate Bridge. Monkeys took over government buildings in India. Nature was not just returning, but making itself at home. The urban safari reminded us that our cities are built directly upon the natural world. The most profound change was perhaps the dissolution of invisible walls. For decades, wildlife has been contained by barriers we cannot see. The wall of sound from our traffic, the wall of light from our cities, and the wall of fear from our constant presence. When these walls crumbled, animals began to move in ways that revealed the true interconnectedness of the landscape. Highways, once deadly rivers of steel and speed, became safe crossing points. A deer could now cross a 6-lane motorway without fear, reconnecting a forest on one side with a meadow on the other. Landscapes that had been fragmented for a century were, for a brief time, made whole again. This newfound freedom of movement was crucial for many species. It allowed them to access new food sources, find new mates, and escape competition in their usual territories. In South Africa, penguins, usually confined to a single beach, were seen waddling through the empty streets of a coastal town. Their comical procession was more than just a charming spectacle, it was a journey of exploration. Without tourists and traffic blocking their path, they were free to investigate their surroundings, guided by instinct rather than constrained by our activity. This newfound mobility is essential for the genetic health and long-term survival of any species. The change was also felt by smaller, often overlooked creatures. Birds, for instance, began to alter their songs. In the quiet, they no longer needed to shout to be heard over the low-frequency roar of city traffic. Scientists noticed that some birds began to sing in lower, richer tones, their melodies becoming more complex and varied. Their communication became clearer, more effective. It was as if a veil had been lifted, allowing them to communicate in the way nature intended. This subtle shift highlights how deeply our noise pollution affects even the most fundamental behaviors of the animals we share our planet with, from finding a mate to defending a territory. Ultimately, this period showed us that the boundaries we create are artificial and, in the grand scheme of things, remarkably fragile. A gated community in Argentina, designed to keep the outside world out, suddenly found itself hosting families of capybaras, the world's largest rodents, lounging on its perfect lawns. The fences and walls meant nothing to them. The absence of people was the only invitation they needed. This great pause revealed a simple truth. Nature does not recognize our property lines or our city limits. It sees only habitat, and when a habitat becomes safe and quiet, it will move in, reminding us that we are all part of one, single, interconnected ecosystem. As wildlife ventured into our spaces, a new rhythm established itself. The rigid timetables of the human world were replaced by the more ancient natural cycles of dawn and dusk. Animals began to reclaim the daylight hours. Foxes were seen sunning themselves in parks. Their behavior shifted because the primary threat that had dictated their schedule had disappeared, rippling throughout the urban ecosystem. The city began to breathe in sync with the rising and setting of the sun. The morning began with a chorus of birdsong. For the first time we could hear the true voice of the city. The urban environment revealed itself to be a viable habitat. They were showing us that coexistence is a practical reality. While animals were visible pioneers, a slower force was at work. The plant kingdom began its quiet reclamation, starting in the cracks of our concrete world. Without human interruption, life found a way. Tiny seeds awakened, pushing through pavements. It was a subtle invasion, a green tide softening our built environment, demonstrating nature's persistence. Overgrown railway tracks became corridors of green, transforming into natural highways. The hard lines of engineering blurred, replaced by wild growth, a testament to nature's drive to heal. They were breaking down our world with life itself, a reminder that even our structures are temporary. As the green tide secured its hold, the vertical ascent began. Walls became the next frontier. Ivy snaked up brickwork and concrete. Sterile surfaces transformed into living walls, providing shelter. Buildings breathed again, cloaked in green. Mosses and lichens flourished in cleaner air, spreading across stone, metal, and glass. Seeds found purchase in elevated pockets. Grasses and flowers sprouted from rooftops. This vertical greening dissolved the separation between ground and sky. Nature reclaimed the vertical plane, softening the coldness of steel and glass. Beyond the city centers, on the very edges of our sprawling suburbs, a different kind of reclamation was taking place. Here, the forest itself seemed to be breathing out, slowly expanding its territory into the spaces we had abandoned. The neatly defined borders between woodland and human development, once maintained by mowing and clearing, began to blur and soften. Young saplings, the children of the forest, started to march across empty fields and unused plots of land. Species like birch and pine, which are quick to colonize open ground, formed the front line of this quiet advance, their silvery trunks and dark green needles a sign of the wilderness returning. This expansion was a direct response to the lifting of human pressure. The constant noise and activity that had kept the forest at bay had ceased, and the land was now open for resettlement. This process, known as ecological succession, is nature's way of healing a scar on the land. First come the fast-growing grasses and wildflowers, then the pioneer trees, and eventually, over decades and centuries, the mature forest reestablishes itself. We were witnessing the very first steps of this ancient process, a glimpse into how a landscape can restore itself if simply left alone. The forest was not invading. It was returning to lands that were once its own. The newly reclaimed areas quickly became vital habitats. The growing scrub and young trees provided cover and food for a host of animals. Deer found shelter in the thickening undergrowth. Birds nested in the young branches, and insects thrived among the burgeoning plant life. These new edge zones became incredibly rich with biodiversity, acting as a bridge between the deep forest and the more open, human-altered landscapes. They were dynamic, transitional spaces, buzzing with the activity of life returning to a place it had long been excluded from. The forest was not just growing, it was creating a new, thriving community on our doorstep. Witnessing this slow expansion was like watching the planet exhale. For so long we have pushed nature back, clearing forests for our homes, our farms, and our industries. The line has almost always moved in one direction, but for a brief moment, we saw the line move the other way. We saw the forest breathe out, its green lungs expanding into the quiet spaces, reminding us of its power to grow, to heal, and to endure. It was a humbling experience, showing that our control over the landscape is conditional and temporary. The wild heart of the world is always there, waiting patiently for its chance to beat again in the places we have left behind. The most joyful sign of nature's quiet reclamation was the explosion of color. With the absence of gardeners, weed killers, and lawn mowers, a world of flowers burst forth in the most unexpected of places. Highway medians, usually home to nothing but manicured grass, transformed into vibrant ribbons of wildflowers. Poppies, cornflowers, and daisies sprang up, their colors a brilliant contrast to the gray asphalt on either side. These were not planted by human hands. They were the result of seeds that had lain dormant in the soil for years, simply waiting for the right conditions to germinate. The pause in our activity was the permission they needed to grow. This spontaneous blooming brought a new kind of beauty to our urban and suburban landscapes. Roundabouts became miniature meadows, buzzing with bees and butterflies. The edges of car parks, once barren and oil-stained, were softened by drifts of colorful petals. It was as if the earth was celebrating the quiet, decorating our functional sterile spaces with an irrepressible display of life. This floral revolution was a feast for the eyes, and a critical resource for pollinators. The sudden abundance of nectar and pollen was a lifeline for bees, butterflies, and other insects that are essential for the health of our ecosystems and for our own food supply. Even our most personal spaces were part of this transformation. Private lawns, unshackled from the weekly ritual of mowing, began to reveal their true nature. The uniform green carpet gave way to a more diverse tapestry of clovers, dandelions, and buttercups. These spontaneous meadows were far more valuable to wildlife than a monoculture of grass. They provided food for a wider range of creatures and helped to create a more resilient local ecosystem. This small-scale rewilding, happening in gardens all over the world, showed that even the smallest patch of land can become a haven for nature if we simply relax our need for perfect control and order. This world in bloom was a powerful symbol of hope and renewal. It showed that beauty and life are always waiting just beneath the surface, ready to emerge when given the slightest chance. The flowers were a reminder that the world does not need our constant intervention to be beautiful. In fact, sometimes our absence is the very thing that allows its true, wild beauty to shine through. The colors that painted our silent world were a gift, a glimpse of a more vibrant, more alive planet. They were a quiet but spectacular testament to the fact that even in our concrete world, life is determined to bloom. As human activity ground to a halt, the skies above us transformed almost overnight. Factories fell silent, cars vanished from roads, and the haze that once blanketed cities lifted, revealing a world of startling clarity. In northern India, the Himalayas reappeared on the horizon after decades, a breathtaking reminder of what had been hidden by pollution. The air grew cleaner, benefiting not just people but birds, insects, and plants, each thriving under the renewed blue sky. The drop in pollutants like nitrogen dioxide was dramatic, showing how quickly the atmosphere can begin to heal. This was a vivid lesson. Our daily choices directly shape the air we breathe. We realized that clean air isn't a fantasy. It's possible and within reach. The clear skies offered a glimpse of a future where nature and humanity both thrive. It was a vision of hope, with distant mountains no longer a memory, but a daily promise. The pause revealed that a healthier planet is possible if we choose it. As the world slowed, our rivers, lakes, and oceans began to heal. In Venice, canals cleared as boat traffic ceased, revealing fish and swans in waters undisturbed for generations. Across the globe, rivers once stained by industry ran clearer, and aquatic plants flourished in the sunlight. The absence of pollution allowed natural ecosystems to recover rapidly. Even the oceans grew quieter, with whales and dolphins returning to areas once dominated by ship noise. This rare silence revealed the resilience of marine life and the power of nature to restore itself. The transformation was a powerful reminder. The damage we cause is not always permanent. Clear water and thriving wildlife showed us what's possible when we reduce our impact. The world's waterways proved they can recover if we let them. Our lighter footprint led directly to a healthier, more vibrant planet. The sudden hush that fell over the world was profound. Without the constant roar of traffic and industry, a new soundscape emerged, one dominated by nature. Birds sang more clearly, predators hunted more effectively, and the earth itself vibrated less. Seismologists noticed the planet was literally quieter as human noise faded. This silence allowed us to hear the wind, water, and wildlife, sounds that soothe and connect us to the world. For animals, the quiet meant less stress and better communication. The pause revealed how much noise we generate and how deeply it affects all life. We learned that silence is not emptiness but a vital part of a healthy environment. The world's natural voice returned, reminding us of the value of quiet spaces. The gift of silence was a lesson in listening, to nature and to ourselves. The great pause revealed nature's astonishing resilience. Life surged back into empty spaces, adapting and thriving with remarkable speed. Animals changed their routines, plants colonized new ground, and ecosystems began to heal almost immediately. This adaptability is the genius of evolution. Life constantly finds ways to survive and flourish. Polluted skies cleared, murky waters brightened, and habitats reconnected as soon as human pressure eased. The rapid recovery challenged the idea that environmental damage is always permanent. Nature's comeback was a story of hope, showing that our actions can make a real difference. The Earth's capacity for self-repair is immense, but it needs our help, not our hindrance. This period reminded us that nature is not separate from us, it's all around, resilient, and ready to thrive. If we give it space, life will return, stronger than before. The lesson hope lies in our willingness to change. The quiet period taught us how closely our lives are intertwined with the natural world. Wildlife ventured into our cities, showing that coexistence is possible when we slow down and make space. The main barrier isn't lack of room, but our constant noise and movement. Animals used empty roads and railways as corridors, highlighting the need for permanent wildlife pathways. We learned that a little wildness, an unmown lawn, a pile of logs, creates vital habitats. Relaxing our obsession with neatness can support a richer diversity of life. This time revealed that cities can be ecosystems, not just human spaces. Seeing a fox or hearing birdsong became reminders of a healthier shared environment. Coexistence means respecting nature as a neighbor, not an intruder. We don't have to choose between progress and a thriving planet. With thoughtful changes, both people and wildlife can flourish, side by side. The extraordinary events we witnessed were a blueprint of what a healthier relationship with nature could look like. The lessons from this global experiment are practical, actionable, and full of hope. The challenge now is to integrate them into our everyday lives. This blueprint begins with consciously designing our communities to include nature. Cleaner air and water are direct results of reduced pollution. The blueprint calls for a lighter, gentler way of living, one that prioritizes the long-term health of our shared home. The Great Pause gave us a new sense of appreciation for the natural world, and reminded us that we are a part of nature. Now it is up to us to build that future, one thoughtful action at a time. The rhythms of human life have largely returned. We must now imagine a world where our progress invites nature's partnership. This future is one of shared spaces, where the lines between our world and the wild world are intentionally blurred. It is a world where our cities are designed for ecological health. The path to this future is paved with projects of rewilding, helping nature to heal the scars we have made. This is one where we can live more fully, in a richer, healthier, and more inspiring environment. The story of nature's return is a story of hope. The world's living systems possess a quiet, formidable strength. Life is persistent, adaptable, and ready to reclaim its place. Healing is the default state of our planet. This knowledge should give us immense courage. A lighter human footprint results in a more vibrant, resilient, and beautiful world. The natural world still has a voice and a deep, enduring strength. It has shown us that recovery is possible and that hope is a rational response. Our task is to cherish and protect our one precious planet. We have the chance to help write a new chapter, one where humanity and nature thrive together.